I went out in a hot dress thinking he'd never know, but his revenge proved me wrong.
Hey Reddit, it's my first time posting. I never thought I'd be one to air my dirty laundry online, but here I am. I need to get this off my chest, and maybe some of you can relate. Let me start by saying I've always been a strong advocate for feminism. I believe in women's rights and equality, but I also believe in living my life on my terms. My husband Eric has always been supportive. At least that's what I thought until recently. My name is Anna and my husband's name is Eric. I am 26 and Eric is 27. Eric and I have been married for 5 years now. We met in college and clicked instantly. He's always been the steady, supportive type, while I've been the one pushing boundaries. Things have always been amazing for us, at least in the beginning. Eric understood me totally. He supported me, he was amazing and romantic, and I just thought things between us were great. Things between us were like a well-oiled machine, you know? We had this agreement from the get-go. I'd take care of the home front, and he'd handle all the bills and work stuff. It was a deal we made before tying the knot, and honestly, I was cool with it. He was the man, and I figured, why not let him take the lead? Plus, it gave me the time and space to dive into my own passions and pursuits, especially when it came to feminist issues. Even though I really didn't enjoy doing chores and taking care of the house, I sucked it up because I preferred it over getting a job. I tried my best, even though most of the time I knew I was just doing the bare minimum. Luckily, my husband was a sweetheart and didn't really care how much work I did around the house. He always came home and helped me out with whatever I hadn't gotten around to doing. He was so understanding of my beliefs and everything else, and he was also super romantic. He loved taking care of me and was always the more giving one in our relationship. I guess that's why I got so used to him and believed that he'd never leave, and that he'd always be the one putting in all the effort. Honestly, now that I think about it, I realize that I took my husband for granted, disrespected him, and also used my feminist beliefs solely when it benefited me. Even though my husband was spontaneous, romantic, and amazing to me, I still felt that he was quite boring. He was a homebody and not a party animal like me. I thrived on the excitement of nightlife, while Eric preferred quiet evenings at home with a good book or a movie. Our differences in lifestyle started to create a rift between us, but I was too absorbed in my own world to notice how much it was affecting him. I loved the nightlife. I loved getting drunk, partying with my friends, and dancing until my feet hurt. It was a release for me, an escape from the routine of daily life. I hated that Eric wasn't like that. He didn't enjoy the loud music, the crowds, or the wild atmosphere of clubs. I believed that anything that happened while at a party or club was fair game. It was my way of asserting my independence and living life on my terms. Eric would often stay home while I went out with my friends. I felt like he was holding me back, so I would go out, drink too much, and let loose. I convinced myself that it was all harmless fun, that I was just blowing off steam and there was nothing wrong with that. My friends would always encourage me, saying I deserved to have fun and enjoy my life. They would cheer me on as I danced with strangers and flirted with guys who showed me attention. I started to resent Eric for not wanting to join me. I thought he was being unreasonable, boring, and overly cautious. I began to see him as someone who didn't understand me or my need for excitement. I felt justified in doing whatever I wanted because in my mind I was just living my truth and embracing my freedom. What I didn't realize was that my behavior was driving a wedge between us. Eric never complained about me going out, but I could see the hurt in his eyes when I came home late, smelling of alcohol and covered in glitter. He would try to talk to me about it, expressing his concerns, but I brushed him off, telling him he was overreacting and being controlling. I refused to see how my actions were affecting him and our marriage. Another annoying thing about me was that I believed whenever my husband didn't agree with whatever I said or wanted, then he was misogynistic or a hater of feminism. I always used that to attack him, bring him down, and as a chokehold on him. If Eric suggested that I should maybe take it easy with the partying or that we should spend more time together, I would accuse him of trying to control me. I would throw around terms like misogynist and anti-feminist to shut him down and make him feel guilty for having an opinion. I weaponized my beliefs to justify my actions and to silence any dissent from Eric. It was my way of maintaining control and avoiding any real accountability for my behavior. I never stopped to consider that maybe he had valid concerns or that he was genuinely hurt by my actions. I was too busy defending my right to do whatever I wanted to see how toxic and manipulative I had become. I was so caught up in my own world that I failed to see the cracks forming in our relationship. I was too busy chasing the thrill of the night to notice that the love and trust we once had were slipping away. And then one night, everything changed. That night, my friends had invited me out to the club. I really wanted to go, so I even had to cancel date night with Eric just to join them. He was shocked and protested, reminding me how much he had been looking forward to our time together. But I shut him down, accusing him of being misogynistic for not wanting me to spend time with my friends. I framed it as him trying to control me and my choices. Eric, not wanting to escalate the situation, reluctantly let it be. However, when he saw that I was wearing a red dress that was extremely revealing, he protested again. He thought the dress was too provocative and suggested I should change into something more modest. His concern was genuine, but I took it as another attempt to control me. I was furious that he wanted me to change and saw it as a misogynistic and clear power move. I didn't want to be controlled, and I wasn't going to let him dictate what I could or couldn't wear. I started to argue with him, insisting that the dress wasn't too revealing. I stood my ground, though in hindsight I realized the dress was way too much for a night out. It left little to the imagination and attracted a lot of attention, which I now understand was inappropriate for a married woman. But at that moment, all I could see was his attempt to control me, and I wasn't going to let that happen. I told Eric that I wouldn't change and that his request was very misogynistic. I accused him of trying to control my life, making him feel guilty for simply voicing his concern. Our argument intensified, with both of us raising our voices. Eric tried to reason with me, but I was too stubborn and angry to listen. I was determined to wear what I wanted, and I wasn't going to let him change my mind. My friends arrived to pick me up during our heated argument. They honked the horn, signaling for me to come out. Without another word to Eric, I grabbed my purse and stormed out of the house and just left him standing there. He looked defeated and worried. I got into the car with my friends. I felt a mix of triumph and anger. I had won the argument, but at what cost? I didn't care at that moment. All I wanted was to have a good time and forget about the fight. Even as we drove away, I glanced back at the house and just saw Eric standing by the door, watching me leave. There was a look of sadness and resignation on his face that I ignored. I convinced myself that I was in the right, that he was the one with the problem, not me. Little did I know this night would change everything. When I got back home, my husband wasn't there. I called him multiple times, but he wouldn't pick up. I even sent him a message, but there was no reply. Feeling a mix of frustration and worry, I decided to go to bed, hoping he would come home soon and we could sort things out. The next morning, Eric was back. However, he was unusually quiet and distant with me. I was surprised because usually whatever happened the night before wouldn't get to him by the next day. He had always been supportive, almost to a fault, and was generally okay with whatever I wanted to do. But this time, something was different. He went about doing the chores, all the while maintaining a cold, detached demeanor. I could sense that something was seriously wrong. Then out of the blue, he told me that we would be renewing our lease. I was shocked because we had been planning to go house hunting soon. Our lease was ending at the end of the year, and we had already discussed not renewing it. Now all of a sudden, he wanted to extend it. I was stunned and demanded an explanation. Eric told me that something had come up and we would have to postpone our plans to buy a house. He was vague and refused to give me any more details, no matter how much I interrogated him. I tried to force the information out of him, but he remained tight-lipped. Frustrated and confused, I eventually gave up, hoping he would open up later. Then he dropped another bombshell. He told me that I would need to get a job. I was taken aback and demanded to know why. Eric calmly explained that if I wanted to be a feminist and be independent, then I should get an actual job and contribute to the family. He said that I was abusing feminism and that my behavior the previous night was totally disrespectful and out of line. He went on to say that he would no longer be paying all the bills by himself. From now on, we would be splitting everything 50-50, including the household chores. He wanted to make it clear that he wasn't going to tolerate being taken for granted any longer. I was stunned by his sudden assertiveness. This was not the Eric I knew. He had always been so accommodating, so willing to support me in everything I did. But now he was standing his ground, and it was clear that he was serious. His words cut deep, and I realized that I had pushed him too far. Feeling a mix of guilt, anger, and confusion, I didn't know what to say. I had always prided myself on being strong and independent, but now I was being called out for my hypocrisy. Eric's ultimatum forced me to confront my own behavior and the way I had been treating him, and I wasn't sure how to handle it. I just sat there trying to process everything while Eric continued to go about his chores. His expression was unreadable. I felt a mixture of anger and confusion. How could he expect me to give up my freedom and independence? How could he not see that I was just expressing myself and having fun? I resented him for not understanding me, for not supporting me the way he used to. I started to see him as someone trying to control me, to clip my wings. I didn't see it as a wake-up call or a chance to make things right. Instead, I saw it as punishment for being myself, for being a feminist who refused to conform to his expectations. I grudgingly started looking for a job, but every application felt like a betrayal of who I was. I landed a job at a restaurant through one of Eric's connections, but I hated it. I felt superior to the staff, thinking they were beneath me. I was rude and dismissive, and I know now that I was wrong. I blamed Eric for everything, convinced that he was punishing me for being feminist. I couldn't see that he was trying to save our relationship, to make us equals in every sense. I was blinded by my own stubbornness and arrogance, and it cost me dearly. I wish I could say that I learned from my mistakes, that I saw the value in working and contributing to our household. But I didn't. I continued to resent Eric, to believe that he was the one at fault. I didn't realize until much later how wrong I was, and by then it was too late. As time went on, my resentment towards Eric grew. I saw every request he made as an attempt to control me. When he asked me to help with chores, I saw it as him trying to put me in my place. When he suggested we save money, I saw it as him restricting my freedom. Our arguments started to become more frequent and intense. I would lash out at him, accusing him of being a misogynist and a hypocrite. I couldn't see that he was just trying to create a fair partnership where we both contributed equally and respected each other's opinions. Even when Eric tried to talk to me calmly and explain his perspective, I would shut him down. I didn't want to hear it. I was too wrapped up in my own anger and resentment to see the damage I was causing to our relationship. Looking back now, I realize how toxic my mindset was. I was so focused on being right and defending my feminist beliefs that I forgot about the most important thing, our love and partnership. But at the time, I couldn't see past my own ego. I continued to resent Eric, convinced that he was the one at fault. It wasn't until much later that I understood the true meaning of equality in a relationship. And by then, it was too late to salvage what we had. I started seeking the validation and attention that I wasn't receiving from him outside our home. I convinced myself that it was just harmless fun, but deep down I knew it was a way for me to act out my frustration and resentment towards him. As time went on, my behavior became more and more disrespectful towards my husband. I would make snide comments, ignore him, and even belittle him in front of our friends. I felt a sense of power in being able to hurt him with my words and actions, but at the same time, I knew deep down that I was only hurting myself and our relationship. I never told him about the flirting and dancing because I knew it would hurt him deeply. I justified my actions by telling myself that it was better for him not to know, but in reality, I was just too afraid to face the consequences of my actions. I didn't want to confront the truth of how far I had let our relationship deteriorate. And so I continued to subtly resent my husband and cause problems in our marriage, even though I knew I was in the wrong. What made it even worse was the fact that my friends didn't bother to check in on me during this tough time. Instead, one of them went behind my back and spilled the beans to my husband about my past flirting and dancing with other guys. It was a real punch to the gut. I couldn't believe that someone I trusted would betray me like that. It made me question everything, from my friendships to my own actions. My husband confronted me about it. He wasn't having that. In his eyes, that was cheating, and it was like that was the final straw. He kicked me out. When he asked me about it, at first I denied everything. I refused to take responsibility for my actions, and blamed him for not meeting my needs. Even though deep down, I knew that I was the one at fault for allowing our relationship to reach this point. He said he wanted a divorce and that he had been thinking about it for a while, and finding out about this had just reinforced what he felt. After my husband kicked me out, I was left feeling lost and hurt. Leaving our home was a wake-up call for me. I had to face the consequences of my behavior and take a hard look at myself. Returning to my parents' house after being kicked out by my husband was tough. I could see the disappointment in their eyes as they reluctantly let me back in. It was a harsh reminder of the consequences of my actions and the pain I had caused not only to my husband but also to those closest to me. Their disapproval was so painful, and that added to the already overwhelming shame and regret I was feeling. I knew I had let them down, and it was hard to accept. I felt like I had hit rock bottom with no one to turn to for support. I don't even know why I'm posting about my situation, but I guess I'm asking for help. I'm hoping for some guidance in this time of confusion. I feel lost. I don't even know where to start in putting my life back together. Update. I didn't expect this kind of response. I got a lot of hate, but also a lot of useful comments. To answer some questions, first of all, my husband is adamant about divorcing me and has refused to budge no matter what my parents and I have said. He said I've disrespected him way too much and that I also cheated. He said he would never forgive me and to stop disturbing him. So yeah, I guess that's done for. I deserve it, I guess. I'm still at my parents' place, and yes, I was fired from my job. I was rude, never did anything, and was downright horrible. The only reason I wasn't fired long ago was because my husband knew the owner of the restaurant. But the moment he kicked me out, he also got me fired, so that's done with. And no, I never slept with anybody. Stop asking me that, Reddit. I've been thinking a lot about what happened, and I realized that I made a lot of mistakes. I was disrespectful to my husband, and I took him for granted. I was also lazy and didn't contribute to our relationship or our household. I'm not proud of the person I was, but I'm trying to change. I'm going to therapy, and I'm working on becoming a better person. I know it's going to take time, but I'm committed to making things right. I don't know if my husband will ever forgive me, but I hope he does. I love him, and I want to spend the rest of my life with him. I'm not going to give up on myself or my marriage. I know I can change, and I'm going to prove it to everyone. Thank you for reading. Update. Hey Reddit, I'm writing to give an update on my situation. As you know, I've been going through a lot lately. My marriage is ending, and I've had to cut off contact with my friends. The comments and even the direct messages have been very horrible. I guess I should have expected it, but it still hurts. To answer a commonly asked question, yes, I cut off my friends. I had to. They ruined my marriage. I played a part in that, but they still played a significant role. They tried to reach out to me, but I ignored them and then blocked them shortly after. Things have been pretty slow for a while. I've been job searching, but I haven't really found anything. I'm trying to stay positive, but it's hard. I'm updating because you all are asking for an update. The divorce is in the works, so I'll probably update after that. I know this is a lot to take in. I appreciate your support, no matter how small. Update. Hey Reddit, it's me again with an update on my situation. I promised to keep you all posted after the divorce was finalized, and here I am. Unfortunately, the divorce proceedings didn't go as well as I had hoped. Despite having separate finances and no joint debt, I didn't receive any alimony or property from my ex-spouse. We didn't have any children, so child support wasn't an issue. The divorce was finalized quite quickly, but I wasn't completely satisfied with the outcome. However, I understand that I have no choice but to accept the decision. My parents were also disappointed, but we all agree that fighting it further would be a waste of money. The job search has been a major challenge. My portfolio is weak, and I'm struggling to find employment. This has put a strain on my relationship with my parents, who have been hinting that I need to start paying rent. I understand their frustration, but I don't have any income at the moment to do so. The resentment and disrespect I harbored towards my husband festered and grew over time, and it poisoned our relationship from within. Every harsh word I ever said in anger, every glance of contempt, only made things worse between us. I couldn't see past my own hurt and anger to truly understand what was happening to us. Our walls went up, communication broke down. We stopped listening to each other, stopped trying to understand each other's perspectives. Instead of working through our issues together, we allowed them to drive us further apart. I took for granted what we had. I failed to see the value in the person who stood by my side through thick and thin. I let my pride, ego, and my selfishness dictate my actions, never considering the consequences of my words and actions. And in the end, it cost me the love of my life. Now, looking back with regret and sorrow, I see clearly the mistakes I made. I wish I had the chance to go back and do things differently, to show my husband the love and respect he deserved. But it's too late now. To anyone reading this, learn from my mistakes. Don't let resentment and disrespect poison your relationship. Communicate openly and honestly, with love and compassion. Cherish the person you love, and never take them for granted. Because once they're gone, all you'll be left with is regret. Things seem bleak right now, but I'm trying to stay positive. I'm grateful for the support of my family and friends, and I know that I'll eventually find a job and get back on my feet. I'm not giving up on myself, and I'm determined to rebuild my life.